What's good, y'all? What's good, Real Talk Squad? This is Miles, and you're listening to Real Talk with Miles Johnson, where you know we always keep it real. Let's get straight into it, man. I ain't gonna waste no time, and I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it a buck. JJ Reddick has just been hired as the Lakers' next head coach. Man, there are so many layers to this. So many layers to this. And the first thing, obviously, what's the elephant in the room? This is the guy that got the podcast with LeBron James. Now, Rich Paul has gone on record and said that LeBron has had no influence. LeBron, he isn't even guaranteed to be a Laker. So you're telling me that LeBron's co-host on his podcast becomes his head coach and he's not coming back to that organization? Okay. Look, I respect it. I respect you trying to keep it P, but let's cut the BS. We know what's going on. Now, clearly, I don't care what anybody says, LeBron is too smart to not know what's going on. I don't care what anybody says. You don't think that if JJ Reddick is getting an interview, this is like, let's just say you're doing a podcast with your bro. You're doing a podcast with your bro, and your bro is getting a job interview at your job that you work at currently. So y'all not going to talk about it? So if y'all close, y'all not going to talk about what it would be to work together? Come on. Come on. It's what it is, and it's cool, and I know that LeBron and them, they don't want the perception to be that they're handpicking coaches and all this stuff. And maybe the Lakers genuinely like JJ Reddick. But you've got to be living under a rock if you don't believe that LeBron had anything to do with this, or at the very least knew what was coming. Let's keep it a stack. All right, now we got that out the way. The Lakers themselves are one of the most disorganized, trash, and I'll just keep it a stack, incompetent organizations in the National Basketball Association. I will say it again for some of my Lakers, fans that have been in my comments trying to troll and all this stuff. The Lakers are an incompetent franchise, and since 2020, they have been one of the worst franchises in the NBA. When you talk about a team that let go of Alex Caruso and all defensive player of the year, let go of Kyle Kuzma, let go of Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, the only guys that had a reasonable chance of slowing down Joker. You then get Russell Westbrook because that's who LeBron wanted. And then y'all put together some strings at the trade deadline, all that stuff. That's cool. You get to Western Conference Finals. But all it is that the Lakers are just like the Sixers. They just have good weather. And what do I mean by that? Both franchises are not good franchises. They aren't. But the difference between LA and Philly is that superstar players, all-time great players, they want to be in Los Angeles. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in Milwaukee. He goes to LA. That's a no-brainer. Shaquille O'Neal was in Orlando. Says, I want to go to LA. That's a no-brainer. LeBron James was in Cleveland, Ohio. Him and his wife wanted to be by the palm trees in that sunny weather. That was a no-brainer. So in recent years, you talk about the Lakers, they won 2020. They won 2020 because they got damn near the best player of all time. and the best player of all time was able to get Anthony Davis to want to come to LA. And it's not a coincidence that they both are in clutch sports. This was a LeBron operation. This ain't LA. This ain't LA. So the Lakers are so incompetent that they would blatantly make it known that JJ Reddick was our plan B. You can't make this up, bro. During the NBA Finals, because they're so insecure about the Celtics winning the finals and the spotlight they'll have, they want to create and concoct this story about the Lakers wanting to get Dan Hurley and, you know, what it would be for Dan Hurley to be in LA. And then what happens? Dan Hurley deads it. I don't even think it was a real offer for real. And then look, no coincidence, right after the finals is over, right after JJ Reddick is done his bit with ESPN, it's announced that he is the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. So you literally wanted all this publicity just to make it seem like you was trying to get somebody better when the whole plan was to get JJ to begin with. But it actually looks worse because you're hiring a guy that everybody knows wasn't your plan B, at least what you try to make it out to be. That's crazy. You did the same thing with Ty Lue and Frank Vogel. You ain't want Frank Vogel, you wanted Ty Lue. But you made it seem like, oh, Ty Lue's the guy. You don't give him a real offer. Then you go ahead and sign Frank Vogel. It's crazy. And you talk about these Lakers coaches from, you know, Luke Walton, Byron Scott, Mike D'Antoni, Mike Brown, Frank Vogel, Darvin Ham, now JJ Reddick. They done passed around coaches like a blunt. Like a flat out blunt. So no, the Lakers are not a competent franchise. They are quite incompetent. But they've been able to win some championships because of their sunny weather. And again, since Kobe left, since Kobe retired, really since 2010, the Lakers have been a terrible franchise that lucked up and got the best player of all time, who ended up getting Anthony Davis to come with him. That's all it was, and that's all they did. And so when we transitioned to Philly, Philly ain't that much better. It's not that much better. It's just we're at a disadvantage because we don't have that sunny weather. But let's talk about Philadelphia. The Sixers said that their interest in Paul George has significantly waned. I think we should praise for that. Let's do it, man. Yep. Thank you. Thank you. And this is not an indictment on Paul George. Because I think if we got a Paul George that was 27, 28, 29, oh my gosh, give him the max. But the Los Angeles Clippers, right? They have one of the richest owners, not only in the NBA, but in sports, in Steve Ballmer. They also have a new stadium, and they want to fill it up with some new season tickets, get that stadium rocking. That's another thing. And you're telling me that they're not interested in giving Paul George a max contract. So why the hell would the Sixers give Paul George a max contract? Thank you, gosh. Thank you, God. Like we gotta actually put two and two together. If the Clippers, with one of the richest owners, not in the NBA but in sports, and the Clippers who are moving into a new arena and want to sell more tickets, if they don't want to give Paul George the max, why the hell would the Sixers give Paul George the max contract? It doesn't make sense. So I'm very happy that the Sixers' interest has waned and they're no longer that interested in the Paul George sweepstakes, because it's like, why would I pay this guy a max contract? Stop it. He's 34 years old, and you have these Celtics that are young, that will be here for a long time, whether you like it or not. And what sense does it make to sign a guy who's 34 years old, who at best has 3 years left? when you got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum that at the very least got 6 years left. So let's keep it in that context. Also, I would rather sign OG Anunoby if I had to pick. Hear me out, y'all. Hear me out right now. If I had to pick who I would give a max contract to between Paul George and OG Anunoby, I'm picking OG Anunoby. Now, it's not saying that I want to give OG a max contract. But if you had a gun to my head and you was like, you got to make a decision, I'm going to side with OG Anunoby, who's 26 years old, who was a great piece on a Knicks team. So if you acquire OG, you make the Knicks worse. And then guess what? You put in OG, spot-up shooter, great defender, good rebounder. He's going to do all the little things. And what you're banking on is Tyrese Maxey to be better and Joel Embiid to be healthier. Because Paul George, if those guys don't get better or if Embiid doesn't